English Listening Podcast. TOEIC 800 points. Chapter 1. Corporate Restructuring and Organizational Development. In the aftermath of global economic fluctuations, numerous multinational corporations have undertaken comprehensive restructuring initiatives to streamline operations and enhance profitability. The implementation of matrix organizational structures has gained prominence, facilitating cross-functional collaboration while simultaneously maintaining clear reporting hierarchies. Despite the apparent advantages, these structural modifications often precipitate considerable challenges related to communication protocols and departmental integration. Senior executives must meticulously navigate the complexities of organizational change management to mitigate employee resistance and maintain operational continuity throughout transitional periods. The human capital implications of corporate restructuring cannot be underestimated, as workforce rationalization frequently accompanies structural reorganization. Progressive organizations typically establish robust outplacement services and severance packages to facilitate affected employees' transition to alternative employment opportunities. Concurrently, talent retention strategies become paramount to prevent the exodus of high-performing individuals amid organizational uncertainty. Companies that successfully navigate restructuring initiatives often implement transparent communication strategies, elucidating the strategic rationale behind organizational modifications and articulating the anticipated benefits for both the enterprise and its constituent personnel. Strategic workforce planning represents a critical component of organizational development during restructuring phases. Human resources departments must conduct comprehensive skills audits to identify competency gaps that may emerge following departmental consolidation or elimination. Subsequently, targeted professional development initiatives can be formulated to equip retained employees with the requisite capabilities to fulfill expanded or modified role requirements. Additionally, succession planning assumes heightened significance during organizational transformation, ensuring leadership continuity despite inevitable personnel changes. Furthermore, the recalibration of performance management systems frequently accompanies restructuring efforts, with organizations transitioning from traditional annual appraisals to continuous feedback mechanisms aligned with evolving strategic objectives. Key performance indicators undergo corresponding revisions to reflect modified organizational priorities and departmental configurations. The integration of performance metrics with compensation structures creates powerful incentives for employees to adapt to reconfigured organizational paradigms and contribute effectively to post-restructuring success. Chapter 2. Supply Chain Resilience and Risk Management. The unprecedented disruptions to global supply chains in recent years have compelled organizations across diverse sectors to fundamentally reassess their procurement strategies and distribution networks. The previously dominant just-in-time inventory management paradigm has undergone significant reevaluation, with many enterprises implementing hybrid approaches that incorporate strategic buffer stock for critical components. Supply chain diversification has emerged as a cornerstone of organizational risk mitigation, with procurement officers establishing redundant supplier relationships across multiple geographic regions to diminish vulnerability to localized disruptions. Advanced predictive analytics and artificial intelligence applications have revolutionized supply chain visibility, enabling organizations to anticipate potential disruptions through sophisticated scenario modeling and real-time monitoring capabilities. Blockchain technology has been incrementally deployed to enhance supply chain transparency, facilitating instantaneous verification of product provenance and streamlining compliance documentation across international jurisdictions. These technological advancements notwithstanding, human expertise remains indispensable for interpreting analytical outputs and formulating appropriate risk mitigation strategies. Supplier relationship management has evolved beyond transactional interactions to encompass collaborative partnerships focused on mutual resilience enhancement. Procurement contracts increasingly incorporate force majeure clauses with precise definitional parameters and specific remediation protocols to establish clarity regarding responsibilities during extraordinary circumstances. Additionally, organizations have expanded supplier evaluation criteria beyond traditional considerations of cost and quality to encompass risk-related factors such as geographic location, financial stability, and business continuity capabilities. Nearshoring and reshoring initiatives have gained momentum as organizations seek to reduce geographic dispersion within their supply chains and minimize exposure to international logistics complications. The associated increase in production costs is frequently offset by enhanced responsiveness to market dynamics and reduced vulnerability to global transportation disruptions. Concurrently, circular economy principles are being integrated into supply chain design, with product engineers collaborating with procurement specialists to develop components that facilitate recycling and remanufacturing, thereby reducing dependence on potentially volatile raw material markets. Chapter 3: Digital Transformation and Technology Integration. Digital transformation initiatives have transcended the status of discretionary strategic projects to become existential imperatives for organizations across the commercial spectrum. The comprehensive integration of digital technologies into operational workflows necessitates fundamental reconsideration of established business processes rather than merely automating existing procedures. Organizations that successfully navigate digital transformation journeys typically establish dedicated cross-functional teams with explicit executive sponsorship and well-defined implementation authority. These teams systematically evaluate technological solutions against strategic objectives, prioritizing initiatives that deliver demonstrable competitive advantages or operational efficiencies. Legacy system modernization presents formidable challenges for established enterprises, requiring meticulous planning to ensure data integrity and operational continuity throughout migration processes. Hybrid technology architectures have emerged as pragmatic transitional solutions, enabling organizations to incrementally replace outdated systems while maintaining essential functionality. Application programming interfaces facilitate integration between legacy systems and contemporary software solutions, extending the viable lifespan of established technologies while organizations progressively implement modern alternatives. The proliferation of software-as-a-service models has democratized access to sophisticated technological capabilities, enabling small and medium enterprises to deploy advanced solutions without prohibitive capital expenditure. However, the integration of diverse cloud services introduces significant complexity regarding data governance and security protocols. Information technology departments increasingly function as service brokers rather than infrastructure managers, evaluating external providers and orchestrating integration between disparate software solutions. Concurrently, cybersecurity considerations have achieved unprecedented prominence, with organizations implementing defense-in-depth strategies encompassing technological safeguards, procedural controls, and comprehensive employee education. Artificial intelligence implementation continues to accelerate across numerous functional domains, from customer service chatbots to predictive maintenance algorithms for manufacturing equipment. However, organizations frequently encounter challenges related to data quality and availability when deploying machine learning solutions, necessitating substantial preparatory work to establish appropriate information architecture. Furthermore, algorithmic transparency and explainability have emerged as critical considerations, particularly for applications with significant decision-making authority or customer-facing functionality. Organizations must establish robust governance frameworks to ensure that artificial intelligence applications operate in accordance with ethical principles and regulatory requirements. Chapter 4: Sustainable Business Practices and Environmental Governance. Corporate sustainability initiatives have evolved from peripheral corporate social responsibility programs to core strategic considerations with material financial implications. Environmental, social, and governance (ESG) criteria have achieved prominence among institutional investors, influencing capital allocation decisions and corporate valuations. Consequently, organizations across diverse sectors have implemented comprehensive sustainability strategies encompassing operational practices, product development, and supply chain management. These initiatives frequently transcend minimum regulatory compliance to anticipate evolving stakeholder expectations and potential future legislation. Decarbonization strategies constitute a central component of corporate environmental initiatives, with organizations establishing science-based emission reduction targets aligned with international climate objectives. Renewable energy procurement has expanded substantially, with power purchase agreements enabling organizations to secure long-term price stability while simultaneously reducing carbon footprints. Energy efficiency improvements throughout facilities and operational processes typically yield both environmental benefits and cost reductions, presenting compelling business cases irrespective of sustainability considerations. Additionally, electrification of corporate vehicle fleets proceeds apace, driven by both environmental objectives and anticipated total cost of ownership advantages as electric vehicle technology matures. Circular economy principles increasingly influence product design and manufacturing processes, with organizations seeking to minimize waste generation and reduce resource consumption. Design for disassembly facilitates component recovery and material recycling at product end of life, while modular construction enables targeted replacement of obsolete or malfunctioning elements rather than complete product disposal. Concurrently, chemical formulations undergo reevaluation to eliminate substances of concern and enhance recyclability, occasionally necessitating substantial research and development investment to maintain product performance characteristics. Water stewardship initiatives have gained prominence, particularly within water-intensive industries and operations situated in regions experiencing hydrological stress. Comprehensive water accounting systems enable organizations to quantify consumption throughout operational processes and supply chains, identifying opportunities for efficiency improvements or source diversification. Leading organizations frequently establish context-based water targets that consider local watershed conditions rather than implementing uniform reduction objectives across facilities irrespective of regional hydrological circumstances. Furthermore, collaborative approaches to watershed management facilitate engagement with local communities and other commercial water users to develop holistic solutions to shared challenges. Chapter 5: International Market Entry Strategies. Expanding operations across international boundaries presents multifaceted challenges requiring meticulous strategic planning and comprehensive market intelligence. Organizations contemplating international expansion must conduct thorough due diligence encompassing political stability assessment, regulatory environment analysis, and cultural compatibility evaluation. Market entry mode selection, whether export arrangements, licensing agreements, joint ventures, or wholly owned subsidiaries, depends upon various factors including capital availability, risk tolerance, and local market characteristics. Regardless of the chosen approach, cultural intelligence represents a critical success factor, necessitating investment in cross-cultural training for personnel involved in international operations. Regulatory compliance across multiple jurisdictions introduces considerable complexity to international operations, encompassing diverse domains from product certification requirements to employment legislation. Multinational organizations typically establish dedicated compliance functions with specialized expertise regarding regional regulatory frameworks and enforcement tendencies. Additionally, international tax planning assumes heightened significance, with organizations navigating complex transfer pricing regulations and bilateral tax treaties to optimize fiscal efficiency while maintaining regulatory compliance. Intellectual property protection strategies must similarly be adapted to diverse legal systems, occasionally necessitating modified technological approaches or contractual arrangements in jurisdictions with limited enforcement capabilities. Localization versus standardization decisions permeate numerous operational domains, from marketing communications to product specifications. While standardization offers operational simplicity and economic efficiencies, localization frequently proves necessary to accommodate market-specific preferences and regulatory requirements. Effective internationalization strategies typically identify core elements requiring consistency across markets, while permitting controlled adaptation of peripheral features to enhance local market resonance. Customer experience mapping across cultural contexts enables organizations to identify potential friction points and develop appropriate localization strategies without compromising brand integrity or operational efficiency. Partnership selection constitutes a critical determinant of market entry success, particularly in regions characterized by complex business environments or relationship-oriented commercial cultures. Potential partners should undergo rigorous evaluation encompassing technical capabilities, financial stability, and reputation within local markets. Furthermore, explicit alignment regarding strategic objectives and operational expectations should be established prior to formalizing collaborative arrangements. While local partners can provide invaluable market insights and relationship networks, incompatible organizational cultures or divergent strategic priorities can undermine otherwise promising international ventures. Chapter 6: Customer Experience Management and Personalization. Customer experience management has evolved from an isolated marketing function to an enterprise-wide strategic priority with demonstrable impact on business performance metrics. Organizations increasingly recognize that customer experiences transcend individual interaction touchpoints to encompass comprehensive journeys across multiple channels and departments. Journey mapping methodologies facilitate systematic analysis of customer experiences throughout relationship life cycles, enabling the identification of friction points and enhancement opportunities. Cross-functional collaboration becomes imperative to address customer experience challenges that span traditional departmental boundaries and organizational silos. Data orchestration represents a fundamental prerequisite for effective customer experience management, requiring the integration of information from diverse sources, including transaction records, service interactions, and digital behavior analytics. Customer data platforms have emerged as technical solutions to consolidate fragmented information repositories and create comprehensive customer profiles accessible across organizational functions. However, the proliferation of personal data collection has precipitated enhanced regulatory scrutiny and consumer privacy concerns, necessitating robust governance frameworks to ensure compliant utilization of customer information. Personalization capabilities have progressed substantially beyond rudimentary demographic segmentation to encompass sophisticated behavioral targeting and predictive modeling. Machine learning algorithms analyze interaction patterns to anticipate individual preferences and recommend appropriate products or services based on comprehensive behavioral profiles. Dynamic content management systems enable real-time customization of digital experiences based on contextual factors and individual characteristics. Nevertheless, organizations must carefully balance personalization objectives against potential customer perceptions of intrusive surveillance, particularly when leveraging sensitive information or tracking behavior across multiple platforms. Voice of customer programs have similarly evolved from periodic satisfaction surveys to continuous feedback collection through multiple channels, including social media monitoring, post-interaction questionnaires, and behavioral analytics. Natural language processing applications facilitate the analysis of unstructured feedback at scale, enabling organizations to identify emerging themes and sentiment patterns across diverse customer segments. Closed-loop feedback systems establish accountability for addressing identified concerns and communicating resultant changes to affected customers. Furthermore, frontline employee input provides valuable supplementary perspectives regarding customer challenges and expectations that may not be explicitly articulated through formal feedback mechanisms. Chapter 7: Strategic Marketing and Brand Management. Contemporary marketing strategies increasingly emphasize value creation through substantive customer benefits rather than mere promotional messaging. Content marketing approaches focus on delivering genuinely useful information that addresses customer challenges or educational needs, thereby establishing organizational credibility and fostering relationship development. This transition from interruption-based advertising to permission-based engagement necessitates comprehensive understanding of customer information requirements throughout decision-making journeys. Organizations that successfully implement value-oriented marketing strategies typically develop sophisticated content ecosystems encompassing diverse formats and distribution channels tailored to specific audience segments and consumption preferences. Attribution modeling has evolved to capture the complexity of modern customer journeys spanning multiple touchpoints and extended timeframes. Multi-touch attribution methodologies allocate conversion credit across various interactions rather than assigning exclusive value to final touchpoints, enabling more accurate assessment of channel effectiveness and informed resource allocation decisions. Marketing mix modeling complementarily analyzes aggregate performance patterns to quantify environmental factors and synergistic effects between channels. The integration of these approaches facilitates comprehensive marketing effectiveness evaluation and supports evidence-based budget optimization across tactical elements. Brand architecture strategies have assumed heightened significance as organizations expand product portfolios and target diverse customer segments. Clearly defined relationships between corporate, division, and product-level brands establish hierarchical frameworks that maximize positive association transfer while mitigating potential reputation contagion risks. Furthermore, explicit brand positioning within competitive landscapes articulates distinctive value propositions that resonate with target audiences and establish defensible market differentiation. The development of comprehensive brand guidelines ensures consistent expression across communication channels and touchpoints, strengthening recognition and reinforcing core brand attributes through repeated exposure. Influencer marketing strategies have matured beyond celebrity endorsements to encompass partnerships with specialized content creators having established credibility within specific communities. Effective implementation requires thorough vetting processes to ensure alignment between influencer audiences and target customer segments, as well as philosophical congruence with brand values. Performance evaluation has similarly evolved from simplistic reach metrics to sophisticated engagement analysis and conversion attribution. Additionally, regulatory scrutiny regarding influencer disclosure practices has intensified, necessitating explicit promotional identification and transparent compensation arrangements to maintain legal compliance and preserve audience trust. Chapter 8: Workplace Safety and Occupational Health Management. Occupational health and safety management has progressed substantially beyond regulatory compliance to encompass comprehensive systems addressing physical, psychological, and environmental factors affecting worker well-being. Leading organizations implement integrated management frameworks aligned with international standards, such as ISO 45001, establishing systematic processes for hazard identification, risk assessment, and preventive intervention. These structured approaches notwithstanding, organizational safety culture represents the fundamental determinant of workplace safety outcomes, with leadership behavior and institutional priorities exerting greater influence than formal policies or procedural documentation. Risk assessment methodologies have become increasingly sophisticated, incorporating quantitative analysis techniques to prioritize hazards based on both probability and potential severity. Job safety analysis procedures systematically evaluate individual work tasks to identify potential dangers and implement appropriate control measures following the hierarchy of controls framework. Engineering solutions that eliminate hazards through design modifications receive priority over administrative controls or personal protective equipment that merely mitigate exposure risk. Furthermore, human factors engineering principles increasingly influence workplace and process design, acknowledging that system configurations should accommodate inherent human cognitive and physical limitations rather than expecting perfect procedural compliance. Mental health considerations have achieved unprecedented prominence within occupational health programs, reflecting growing recognition of psychological well-being's impact on both individual quality of life and organizational performance metrics. Psychosocial risk assessments evaluate workplace factors potentially contributing to stress, anxiety, or burnout, including workload distribution, role clarity, and interpersonal dynamics. Employee assistance programs provide confidential counseling services addressing both work-related and personal challenges, while resilience training initiatives equip staff with psychological coping mechanisms for managing workplace pressures. Additionally, stigma reduction campaigns promote open discussion regarding mental health challenges and encourage appropriate support-seeking behaviors. Leading indicators have largely supplanted lagging metrics in safety performance evaluation, enabling proactive intervention before injuries occur rather than retrospective analysis of incident patterns. Safety observation programs systematically document both compliance behaviors and potential hazards, establishing early warning mechanisms for deteriorating conditions or emerging risks. Near-miss reporting systems capture valuable learning opportunities from incidents that could have resulted in harm under slightly different circumstances. Furthermore, regular safety perception surveys assess employee confidence in organizational commitment to workplace safety and willingness to report concerns without fear of reprisal, providing insight into cultural factors that influence safety outcomes independently of procedural controls. Chapter 9. Leadership Development and Talent Management. Leadership development initiatives have evolved substantially beyond episodic training events to encompass integrated systems of assessment, experiential learning, and structured reflection. Competency frameworks articulate specific behavioral expectations across leadership levels, establishing developmental continuums that guide progression from individual contributor to executive responsibilities. Multidimensional assessment methodologies, including psychometric instruments, 360-degree feedback, and simulation exercises, provide comprehensive perspectives regarding individual strengths and development opportunities. Furthermore, personalized development planning processes translate assessment insights into concrete action steps aligned with both organizational requirements and individual aspirations. Experiential learning opportunities constitute essential components of effective leadership development, enabling practical application of theoretical concepts within authentic organizational contexts. Stretch assignments place individuals in challenging situations that necessitate capability expansion, while cross-functional projects facilitate perspective broadening and enterprise-wide understanding. Formal mentoring relationships provide guidance from experienced leaders, complemented by coaching arrangements focused on specific developmental objectives. Additionally, action learning initiatives combine practical problem-solving with structured reflection, enabling simultaneous delivery of organizational outcomes and individual development. Succession management processes have progressed beyond simplistic replacement planning to encompass sophisticated talent pipeline development across multiple organizational levels. Potential assessment methodologies evaluate individuals against future role requirements rather than current performance dimensions, identifying candidates with capacity for substantial advancement despite possible experience deficits. Development programs subsequently address identified preparation gaps through targeted experiences and learning interventions. Furthermore, talent review calibration sessions enable consistent evaluation standards across organizational units while simultaneously educating leadership teams regarding talent identification principles and unconscious assessment biases. Inclusive leadership development represents an organizational imperative given increasingly diverse workforce compositions and global operational contexts. Cultural intelligence cultivation enables effective navigation of cross-cultural interactions, while inclusive behavior development focuses on creating environments where diverse individuals can contribute optimally. Bias mitigation training heightens awareness regarding unconscious preferences that may influence talent decisions and interpersonal interactions. Additionally, Sponsorship programs connect high potential individuals from underrepresented groups with influential leaders who can provide advancement opportunities and organizational visibility, addressing structural barriers that might otherwise impede progression despite individual capability. Chapter 10: Economic Policy and Market Dynamics. Monetary policy implementation has assumed unprecedented significance amid global economic uncertainty, with central banking institutions employing diverse instruments to achieve stability objectives and stimulate economic activity. Interest rate adjustments remain primary intervention mechanisms, influencing borrowing costs throughout economies and modulating both consumption and investment behaviors. Quantitative easing programs provide supplementary stimulus through large-scale asset purchases that increase liquidity within financial systems and suppress long-term interest rates. Forward guidance communications strategically manage market expectations regarding future policy trajectories, enhancing monetary transmission effectiveness through expectation channels. Nevertheless, prolonged accommodative monetary conditions potentially generate unintended consequences, including asset price inflation and excessive risk-taking behaviors within financial markets. Fiscal policy formulation confronts complex trade-offs between short-term economic stabilization and long-term sustainability considerations. Countercyclical spending during economic contractions provides crucial support for aggregate demand, while potentially exacerbating sovereign debt burdens with associated future constraints. Infrastructure investment programs offer particular advantages by addressing immediate employment objectives while simultaneously enhancing long-term productive capacity, provided project selection processes prioritize genuine economic returns rather than political considerations. Tax policy decisions similarly balance multiple objectives, including revenue generation, economic incentive alignment, and distributional equity. Furthermore, automatic stabilizers within fiscal systems provide important economic shock absorption without requiring explicit policy interventions, though their magnitude varies substantially across jurisdictions based on social safety net comprehensiveness. International trade policy has experienced substantial reconfiguration as priorities have shifted from multilateral liberalization toward strategic national interest protection and supply chain security. Regional trade agreements increasingly incorporate extensive non-tariff provisions addressing intellectual property protection, environmental standards, and labor conditions. Concurrently, export control regimes have expanded beyond traditional security concerns to encompass emerging technologies with potential dual-use applications. Investment screening mechanisms similarly reflect heightened sensitivity regarding foreign ownership within strategic sectors and critical infrastructure. These developments collectively indicate transition toward managed interdependence rather than unfettered globalization, with implications for corporate international strategy formulation and operational footprint decisions. Environmental policy instruments continue evolving to address climate change mitigation and adaptation imperatives. Carbon pricing mechanisms, whether explicit taxes or cap-and-trade systems, increasingly influence investment decisions across emission-intensive sectors. Renewable energy support policies facilitate transition toward low-carbon electricity generation, while efficiency standards drive innovation across various equipment categories. Furthermore, climate-related financial disclosure requirements enhance market transparency regarding transition risks and physical vulnerabilities, enabling more efficient capital allocation decisions. Adaptation planning assumes growing prominence as climate impacts intensify, necessitating infrastructure modification and development pattern reconsideration. These varied policy interventions collectively establish complex operating environments requiring sophisticated organizational responses spanning compliance management, strategic planning, and product development domains.